The sun burned mercilessly over the endless desert, turning sand into a golden sea that shimmered with heat. I, the last surviving human from the old colonies, stumbled across the barren plains, my boots sinking into the scorched earth. My mind raced with memories of the catastrophe that had ended civilization, the nuclear fires, the ruthless battles, the betrayal of governments. I was not alone. Strange ships, gliding silently through the sky, cast shadows over the dunes. The aliens had arrived weeks ago, scanning, observing, curious, and terrifyingly patient. They communicated without sound, thoughts merging with mine. Sensing my fears, my pain, my grudging hope. They sought guidance, a map through this forsaken earth to reach a hidden desert planet untouched by the apocalypse. They did not understand our world's chaos. I did not fully trust them. But I had no choice. Their power was immense, their technology beyond comprehension. And in their eyes, I glimpsed the glimmer of vengeance, not just for what humanity had done to them in the past, but for what the universe had allowed to happen to life itself. My survival, my knowledge, was the key. I led them through the remnants of cities, once proud monuments of human achievement, now reduced to crumbling ruins and skeletal skyscrapers. Broken roads twisted like veins through the desert, their asphalt cracked and scorched. The aliens floated above the ground, their forms shimmering, translucent yet solid, constantly shifting colors like liquid glass. I could feel their hunger for justice pulsing through the air, synchronized with my heartbeat. As we approached the wastelands, I recounted the old wars, the betrayal of nations, the betrayals that had left our world vulnerable. They listened, absorbing every detail, every strategy, every secret path to survival. The mission was clear: we would reach the desert planet. The sanctuary humans had long abandoned, where vengeance could be enacted on those who had wronged both species. Every step was dangerous. Rogue bands of scavengers lurked among the ruins, desperate humans who had succumbed to madness, ready to attack anyone who approached their territory. The aliens were formidable, but I feared for them. My knowledge was their shield, their wrath, our weapon. In silence, we moved forward, the desert sun searing our resolve. Nightfall in the desert brought no relief, only an eerie calm that heightened every sound. The wind whispered secrets across the dunes, carrying with it the scent of decay and dust. The aliens' forms glowed faintly under the moon, casting elongated, surreal shadows on the sand. They were not cruel, but they were precise, calculating, and capable of an unthinkable wrath. I had warned them about the dangers, shifting sandstorms, and scanning the terrain for hidden threats. Yet, despite their abilities, I felt a strange kinship growing. They relied on me as much as I relied on them. We shared a silent agreement: trust or perish. Somewhere deep inside, I wondered if vengeance could truly heal the wounds of a dying world. And yet, the thought of standing with beings beyond humanity, enacting justice for the fallen, gave me a fierce, burning purpose I had not felt in decades. The desert became both prison and stage for the coming reckoning. Days blended together as we traversed sand and stone, our path dictated by old maps, instinct, and the aliens' uncanny ability to sense danger. I remembered a hidden canyon, a place once used by rebels to store supplies, and I led them there. The walls of the canyon were etched with the graffiti of survival, messages of despair, warnings, and symbols whose meanings had long been lost. The aliens touched these walls, their hands leaving shimmering trails, scanning for energy traces, learning the history I could barely recall. Night, I shared stories of humanity's greatest heroes, the ones who had fought for justice and failed, who had dreamed of peace and perished in chaos. They listened intently, their glowing eyes reflecting the flickering campfire I had managed to ignite. The mission was evolving. Vengeance was no longer a simple act, it was a moral puzzle, a challenge of strategy, of knowing who deserved judgment and who had already paid the price. My own guilt weighed heavily, but the aliens seemed to sense my hesitation and encouraged me silently, a fusion of empathy and purpose that strengthened my resolve. Together, we would confront the darkness lingering in the desert and beyond. A sandstorm arose without warning, swallowing the canyon in blinding white fury. I could barely see my own hands, yet the aliens moved with an unnatural grace, their forms cutting through the storm as if it were nothing. I clung to their energy fields, feeling a strange warmth that defied the cold desert wind. The storm became a trial, testing our endurance, our patience, and our trust. Hours passed in silence, save for the roar of sand and the occasional pulse of alien energy waves. When the storm finally abated, the canyon was unrecognizable, reshaped by nature's wrath. Yet, we pressed on, undeterred. We navigated ruins that hid deadly traps, collapsed buildings, hidden sinkholes, and rogue human scavengers seeking what little remained of food and water. The aliens dispatched them silently, their power precise and terrifying. I marveled at their efficiency, yet I knew that our mission's success depended on more than strength. Strategy, cunning, and the careful application of humanity's knowledge were equally vital. I realized then that vengeance was not a simple act of violence. It required patience, understanding, and the ability to endure unimaginable trials. Finally, we reached the edge of the desert plateau, where the sand fell away into a vast chasm. Below lay the hidden planet's coordinates, a landing site untouched by humans, preserved as if the universe had kept it safe for our arrival. I guided the aliens down narrow paths, avoiding crumbling cliffs and treacherous rocks. Their energy shields absorbed falling debris, but I struggled with fatigue, my body pushed to the limits. As we descended, I saw the remnants of ancient human machinery, relics that hinted at past attempts to reach this sanctuary. The aliens studied each artifact, learning, adapting, integrating knowledge into their plans. It became clear that vengeance would not be enacted on mere survivors but on those who had orchestrated humanity's downfall, the hidden puppet masters, the architects of suffering who had long escaped justice. I felt a mixture of fear and exhilaration, knowing the culmination of decades of pain and survival was within reach. The desert planet, silent and untouched, awaited as both stage and weapon for the reckoning to come. The first night on the desert planet brought a strange calm. The sky, untouched by human pollution, blazed with stars, alien constellations casting silvery light over the dunes. The aliens seemed to draw strength from the unfamiliar terrain, their forms glowing brighter, more determined. I walked beside them, feeling an unfamiliar serenity in their presence. We set up a base near a plateau that overlooked the central basin, a vantage point for the coming mission. I shared details of the targets we sought, leaders who had betrayed Earth, scientists who had weaponized humanity, and tyrants who had exploited both humans and aliens for profit. They listened, absorbing every detail, every nuance, their eyes reflecting a spectrum of judgment and resolve. Together, we planned the first strikes, blending alien technology with human cunning. I realized, for the first time, that vengeance was no longer personal. It was a force that could reshape the balance between species. And yet, beneath the resolve, I felt the fragile heartbeat of morality, reminding us that even justice demanded restraint. Dawn revealed the planet's hidden beauty, stark and haunting, with dunes that shimmered like liquid metal. Alien flora glowed faintly in the heat, responding to our presence with subtle light pulses. We moved carefully, each step calculated, avoiding natural traps and environmental hazards. The aliens demonstrated their mastery over terrain, scanning for energy signatures, sensing threats before they appeared. I directed them toward the first stronghold, a fortified complex where human conspirators had hidden. As we approached, I felt a pulse of adrenaline and fear, the tension of confronting enemies we had never faced in a place untouched by time. The aliens' presence was calming yet ominous, their sheer power a reminder of the reckoning to come. They trusted my guidance implicitly, yet I sensed their impatience for justice. I reminded myself that our advantage lay in patience, planning, and the blending of human strategy with alien precision. Together, we were unstoppable, yet vulnerable to the mistakes born of emotion and haste. The desert planet became a chessboard, and we were both players and pawns in a cosmic game of vengeance. The first strike was swift and brutal. Using a combination of stealth and alien technology, we incapacitated the outer defenses without bloodshed, isolating key targets for judgment. The conspirators were shocked, unable to comprehend the presence of beings beyond human experience. I guided the aliens through each corridor, using knowledge of human psychology to predict movements and responses. Every confrontation was calculated, every action measured. The aliens acted as instruments of precision, executing justice where necessary, sparing where possible. I realized then that vengeance was not merely punishment, it was education, revelation, and the exposure of truth long hidden. By witnessing consequences beyond comprehension, our enemies began to understand the magnitude of their actions. The desert planet became more than a sanctuary, it became a crucible, shaping the fates of all who had wronged Earth. My role, as the last human guiding them, was pivotal. Without my insight, the aliens' immense power could have been misdirected, causing chaos rather than justice. Together, we were balance incarnate, walking the fine line between vengeance and mercy. Word spread quickly among the conspirators. Strange beings had arrived, guided by a human. Panic and paranoia surged through their ranks, causing mistrust and infighting. I watched carefully, predicting their movements and exploiting weaknesses, whispering guidance to the aliens as they executed precise interventions. The desert planet amplified their fears, its harsh landscape magnifying every misstep. The aliens adapted, learning to integrate human intuition into their strategies, responding to psychological cues and tactical necessities. I realized that vengeance was teaching them empathy, a strange bond forming between our worlds. Each mission we undertook revealed hidden truths, exposing corruption and deceit that had festered for decades. By the time we reached the central fortress, the conspirators were fractured, their unity destroyed by fear, observation, and the inevitability of judgment. The desert planet had become both weapon and teacher, and I, the last human, was the conduit through which justice flowed. The stage was set for the final confrontation, where morality, vengeance, and survival would collide in a storm of cosmic proportion. The central fortress was a labyrinth of steel and shadows, designed to intimidate intruders and protect secrets. The aliens moved through walls and floors effortlessly, their glowing forms bending light as they scanned every corner. I guided them toward the chambers where the leaders of the conspiracy plotted, sharing intimate knowledge of human behavior, weaknesses, and fears. Each room revealed another layer of deception, hidden documents, surveillance data, and coded messages exposing betrayals. The conspirators panicked as the aliens approached, realizing that their technological supremacy meant nothing against beings who combined intelligence, power, and moral clarity. I felt a strange exhilaration as the fortress, once impregnable, became a theater of revelation. The aliens executed each step with calculated restraint, ensuring that justice was precise and unavoidable. I watched as the conspirators confronted their own failings, unable to escape the judgment of forces far beyond human comprehension. The desert planet had transformed from a refuge into a crucible of truth, reshaping destinies with every pulse of alien energy. I understood then that our mission was more than vengeance, it was restoration, correction, and the awakening of conscience on a cosmic scale. The final confrontation was both inevitable and surreal. The conspirators, cornered in the heart of the fortress, faced the glowing aliens and their human guide. I stepped forward, my presence a reminder of what they had underestimated, the persistence of human knowledge and courage. The aliens emitted a soft hum, a resonance that conveyed judgment without words. The conspirators pleaded, bargained, and threatened, yet their arguments fell flat against the certainty of their reckoning. I guided the aliens to target only the guilty, sparing innocents who had been complicit out of fear or ignorance. The energy of vengeance surged, a controlled force of justice that left no room for escape. I watched as the conspirators' facades crumbled, revealing their true natures. The desert planet, silent and eternal, absorbed the echoes of judgment, leaving behind a landscape cleansed of deceit, betrayal, and cruelty. In that moment, I felt the weight of my role, the last human not as a survivor, but as a bridge between worlds, a guide for forces capable of rewriting fate. With the fortress subdued, the desert planet became a place of eerie tranquility. The aliens surveyed the land, their forms casting gentle light over dunes and valleys, as if blessing the earth with their presence. I walked beside them, reflecting on the path we had traveled, the deserts, ruins, storms, and battles that had brought us here. The conspirators were gone or corrected, and the survivors who remained would carry lessons learned through fear, observation, and revelation. The mission was complete, yet the desert remained vast, silent, and indifferent. I realized that vengeance was not the end. It was a process, a cycle that reshaped those who wielded it as much as those upon whom it was enacted. The aliens turned to me, their glowing eyes conveying gratitude and understanding, a bond forged through shared purpose and mutual trust. I felt a profound sense of closure, yet also a lingering question. What comes after vengeance? The desert planet seemed to hold the answer, whispering in sands and starlight, offering survival, reflection, and the possibility of renewal. I decided to remain with them, guiding the aliens as they explored the planet's hidden resources, learning, adapting, and preparing for what might come next. Together, we built structures that blended human ingenuity with alien technology, creating a sanctuary for thought, planning, and vigilance. I taught them about humanity, our capacity for hope, cruelty, and innovation. In turn, they shared knowledge beyond imagination, showing me visions of worlds untouched, civilizations thriving, and forces far greater than our comprehension. The desert planet became a laboratory of unity, a place where vengeance had transformed into understanding and cooperation. I felt a renewed sense of purpose, no longer merely surviving, but shaping the future of two species intertwined by fate, trust, and shared justice. The past's weight lingered, but its lessons were now tools for growth, not chains of regret. Together, we became guardians, watchers over Earth's remnants and the desert planet, a beacon of hope born from the ashes of vengeance. Years passed, yet the memory of Earth's devastation remained etched in my mind. The aliens and I forged a community, blending the wisdom of both species into a new civilization, anchored in justice, vigilance, and respect. The desert planet, once a stage for vengeance, became a cradle for rebirth, its dunes whispering stories of survival and triumph. I, the last human, guided not out of fear, but with purpose and knowledge, ensuring that neither species would repeat past mistakes. The aliens thrived, learning empathy, strategy, and morality from our shared experience. I watched the sun rise over the golden dunes, the glow reflecting on alien forms and human faces alike, feeling a strange satisfaction. Vengeance had become understanding, punishment had transformed into wisdom, and the universe, for once, seemed balanced. In the vast silence of the desert, I realized that survival was not enough. True existence required guidance, compassion, and the courage to confront the darkness within and beyond. Together, we had rewritten destiny, forging a new chapter for Earth, aliens, and humanity itself.